Hi, is this Richard Griffin?
This is Richard Griffin.
All right, well, let me do the official introduction, ladies and gentlemen. We're very excited to welcome the director of a brand new release called The Disco Exorcist, the one and only Mr. Richard Griffin. You're on the air live with Terry and Tiffany. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
I've got to know, has anybody ever announced the name of your movie without having a little chuckle in their voice?
What? What was that?
Has anybody ever announced the name of your movie without having a little chuckle in their voice?
Oh, yeah, I know. It's definitely a title that, you can't say without smiling, so.
Well, I wanted to say that we saw the movie last Sunday, and, we get a lot of films, and we get a lot of films with crazy titles, and we have, apprehensions of what we think it's going to be like. I thought it was going to be, really bad, but it was so much fun. I love the movie. It's a great film.
Oh, thank you so much. That's fantastic, and I like the fact that you actually saw the film before you interviewed me. That's definitely a step above some of the radio, the internet radio shows I've done with it. So, did you shoot the movie with a camera?
And exactly how did you get John Travolta to be in your film?
Exactly.
All right, Richard, I'm going to have you hold on for 1 second. We're going to conference in Michael Reed, and then once we get him on the line, we'll conference in Sarah.
Fantastic.
Hello.
Hi, is this Michael?
This is Michael.
All right, well, we're very excited to welcome to the interview with Richard Griffin already on the line, the star of Richard's film, The Disco Exorcist, who played Rex Romansky, Mr. Michael Reed. You're on the air live with Terry and Tiffany. And Richard, welcome to the show, Michael.
Hey, Terry, Tiffany, and Richard. How are you? How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're good. So I'm going to ask you to hold on for 1 second, and we're going to go ahead and conference in Sarah Nicklin, your lovely co-star here. So we'll go ahead and do that now.
See, we don't have secretaries. We call people live on the air because we're low budget, just like the movies are. So.
It gives it a nice organic feel,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hello?
Hi, is this Sarah?
This is Sarah.
All right, well, I would like to welcome you to kind of the party line that we have going on right now.
That's what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome Sarah Nicklin, one of the stars of The Disco Exorcist, who isn't a porn star, but she plays one in movies, as Marina Jones, the one and only Sarah Nicklin. You're on the air live with Terry and Tiffany and Richard and Michael, so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, we like to get right to the nitty-gritty. Now, I understand that Michael and Sarah are together tonight. Is that
right? Yes. We split up rooms just for your guys' benefit, of course.
So
that,
right.
The echo going on.
Is it kind of that, you enjoyed your role so much and you decided to play it off-screen, or you're just friends, or...
Well, he knocked her up during one of the scenes, so, they had to get married.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
It's Richard's fault that we're married, basically, is what it is.
And Sarah's like, I'm out of here. He's getting personal already, damn it.
You guys have been married for how long before we started shooting Disco Exorcist?
Like a year and a half, maybe? Something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Well, I got to say that I thought the movie was incredible. I was telling our director friend here that we get these titles in and they sound a little hokey. I always think they're going to be this or that. It very pleasantly surprised me, and I'm going to ask different experiences you had at first as director, and then we'll ask our two leads, what it was like for you. I mean, it had to be as much fun doing the film as what we saw, because that came across on the film that we saw. That it had to be great fun.
Oh, it was a blast. I mean, it was definitely a lot of fun. I thought, it was you know, what can I say? It was like 3 months of skinny dipping for everyone. You know, it was just. I mean, we're all friends. We've all known each other for years, and it was just a laugh riot on the set. I mean, it was very professional. I mean, these guys are very experienced stage and film actors, and you know, and the crew was magnificent. I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was so much fun. So much fun.
I need to ask you, Michael, because I just got done. I actually did a shoot to where I directed the king of porn, Ron Jeremy.
It wasn't that kind of shoot. It was not that kind of shoot.
No, he had his clothes on, thank God. But you know, we were doing a lot of talking about the old stars, you know, John Holmes and stuff. And in this film, you start out as like a disco dance expert, and what becomes your girlfriend brings you into the world of porn. I mean, what was that like for you? I mean, were you pretty much aware of those days? I mean, you're a young guy. I mean, how much did you know about those kind of days?
Well, I was born in '76, so I saw I didn't even understand what was going on in the '70s, but my parents enjoyed it, that's for sure. And
What do you mean by that, Michael?
That sounded like such a loaded comment.
No, it was the '70s are fantastic. I mean, who doesn't like the '70s? It's loose. You know, we're learning about our sexuality. We're getting open with that, and I am certainly a very liberal person, so it was all good with me. So,
I must tell you that the first comment I got out of my daughter was, "What a nice ass you have."
Oh my.
Was that embarrassing for you? I mean, like, you were you were showing it.
It was a little baby butt. It was like all shaved and like white.
No, it wasn't embarrassing. These guys are my friends and family, and so working those intimate scenes, it was a lot of fun. You know, in between the cold spritzer of water to sweat us down, it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Well, you know, having just got done working with Ron Jeremy, who's like the hairiest man in show business. Did they give you like a bump? Like, did they ask you like to shave your ass or?
No, I have a baby's ass.
Okay, there you go. So let me be polite because you're a lady. I'll just have you tell me what the experience was like for you.
I'm
talking to Sarah.
That question.
I'm talking to Sarah.
I'm sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Hence the pretense since you're a lady, unless you're a lady, in which case, go ahead.
Right.
Ladies a smooth ass.
So I've got to ask.
Too.
I've got to ask you one kind of funny question, Sarah. And I hear that you guys have been friends for years. In having to do these love scenes with him, and in having to see him there in all his glory, I know that the scenes with you were shot very carefully and tastefully. But was there any time that you ever just broke out laughing? I mean, was it not laughing at him and his technique, but you know what I'm saying? Like, was it funny?
I always think that sex scenes are rather strange to shoot because it's so technical, and there's nothing sexy or sexual or passionate about it when you're actually doing it for a camera like that. It's all about, you know, getting the angle right, and okay, put this hand here, make sure your hair's out of your face here, like turn your face this way, and it's a lot of fun, but it's hilarious to do. And you feel like a goof because you're like half naked and being put in these strange, well, not positions so much in that way, but positions as far as, you know, look this way or look that way. Mm-hmm. And I don't recall anything specific that was particularly hilarious, but I have no doubt that we definitely had a lot of laughs on set while shooting this scene.
Well, you couldn't laugh too much. You'd hurt your co-star's feelings because he's supposed to be Mr. Romansky, so, you know, wow.
So, Richard, let me ask you, how did the genesis of this project come along? I mean, at what point were you just like, I know, disco meets The Exorcist?
Well, first of all, disco music is from the spawn of hell.
Well, I mean, it honestly came to me. I was, it literally, the title popped up into my head, and it was not just even the Disco Exorcist. It was Michael Reed is the Disco Exorcist. And it just literally it was like having an embolism. It just popped into my head. And I was like, oh my God, that's a great title. I said, what would that movie be about? And in about 10 minutes, I had basically the seed of the story in my head. And I called up my friend Tony Nunes, who's a great screenwriter and journalist. And I said, Tony, I want to do this movie. Can you write it for me? And I gave him the general outline about a disco playboy who meets this girl who's a voodoo priestess, da-da-da-da. And he said, okay, what do you want from it? I said, I want it to be rated NC-45. I said, I really want to go all the way with it in terms of not just extreme nudity and sex. I mean, obviously, just to preface this, the film is not pornographic. It's very not even softcore. It's really, really softcore. I mean, there's a lot of nudity and sex, but it's done in a very playful way. Mm-hmm. I think it's very silly. The thing is, I'm actually in real life an incredibly shy person, so I'm sure Sarah and Michael tell you, I directed most of the scenes with nudity, probably staring at the floor half the time. It's just weird. I think because it's weird seeing, one, just being on a set with naked people, and the next thing is, they're your friends also. And so I spent a lot of time staring at my feet, and, like, oh, is that okay? I'm like, yeah, we don't need to do another take. Don't worry. That was great. But that was just, so the thing is, I talked to my friend Tony Nunes, and we got together over a coffee, and we broke down the script, and in about 2 months, he had a first draft for me. And the one thing I really liked about it was that it had a lot of humor to it. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to make kind of a nasty, kind of dark sex, mm-hmm. horror film. I wanted to make it very comic book and light, and he really pulled that off.
Definitely. Well, I was going to say, and Michael, you can chime in on this, I was going to say that what Richard said is absolutely true, and the reason, in my opinion, that the movie worked is because it was very tongue-in-cheek. It kind of laughed at itself. It was, campy and stuff without being over the top. But for a character like Rex Romanski, how did you structure how you were going to portray that? Because it's a very fine line between playing it up for camp and just completely going too over the top and becoming ridiculous spoof that wouldn't have even been funny.
I think the main thing I do is I go in and I think that Tony and Richard have an awesome idea for a script, and it's all there on paper. I don't try to play the comedy up. I don't try to play that stuff up. It's ridiculous enough as it is, and the scenarios are crazy enough that you go in and you play the scene, and I don't try to play the comedy, and I think that is the key to making it work, to being this playboy disco king. You just go in, you do what you're going to do, and I think a lot of me was in that character. I didn't try to not be me. I let myself just have fun with the character, and I think that's what made Rex kind of work with everything. Yeah.
Right. Well,
one thing I got to say in Michael's, to really praise Michael is on the page, Rex Romanski came across as a real bastard. Mm-hmm. I mean, he came across as a very unsympathetic character. I mean, this guy throws away women like tissue paper. And he came across as a real jerk in the script. Michael brought this very kind of boyish, like he doesn't even know what he's doing wrong, he's just kind of playfully amoral, and really Michael softened the character and I think made him very likable, and that really is a testament to Michael's acting ability, because
definitely.
I think if anybody else played that role, he would have been too much to handle, and people would have been like, I don't want to watch this jerk,
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a coward in scenes. Like every time something goes wrong, he does the baby, please, everything will be all right, routine. And he's this playboy, but Michael really made him sympathetic, and that's a lot of that's, all that's Michael. You know?
Well, coming from that background, too, I think Sarah did great in the fact I've been around a lot of porn actresses, and she had the side of her that was really sweet, which you usually don't see with porn actresses. And then when she was the porn actress and on the scene there in the movies, the little movies within the movies, she definitely had that edge that they have to where they're kind of catty and nasty and very self-absorbed and all that. She did that very well. Sarah, were you uncomfortable doing that? I mean, I know you're rather, I get the impression you're a little shy in person, and then you have to do all this.
That's correct. I am rather shy in person. But for doing that sort of stuff, what really helped is actually Richard and I, before the movie started, he introduced me to some Marilyn Chamber movies. So,
all it was interesting nights at the Griffin residence.
Well, it obviously worked because you're over at his place tonight. So.
No, that's Michael.
Oh, the other way around.
Richard, don't start rumors.
The other thing I want to find out, too, is the character of Rita Marie that's played by Ruth Sullivan. She was so good at being the evil that she was. Now, I know a lot of times on sets, actors will definitely stay away from each other because they want to, like, get that angst on screen. Were you guys kind of, like, apart from each other? And when you were together in scenes, I can ask both of you here and maybe find out also from the director, you know, what it was like with him, with her. But I don't know, like, was she kind of like that in person? I mean, I don't imagine she's nasty like that, is she?
No, she's a sweetheart. She's an absolute sweetheart. And, I mean, it's just, you know, once again, but the thing is, written on paper, her character was just pure evil, but Ruth brought a real sympathetic part to it, because, I mean, at the end of the day, this woman has been wronged. You know, she has been, you know, treated like a piece of garbage, and Ruth brought this sympathy to the character. I mean, you know, she's obviously very destructive, but at the same time, you do have some compassion for her, and that's Ruth. But no, Ruth was there on the set, you know, typical of my set. She was there helping crew the shoots. You know, when she wasn't acting, she would help, you know, set up some props. She was building sets with my producer, Ted Marr.
Wow.
You know, and she's an absolute sweetheart. And but when I called action, it was like, you know, like in the movie, it was like she was possessed by a demon, you know. And the scene in the graveyard where she's doing the whole scene about, you know, men calling women bitches, it's terrifying. I mean, but it's terrifying because it's actually real. I mean, there's a real rage there, and she brought that out. I think it's a tour de force performance. You know, in a movie that's kind of, you know, campy and silly. You know, here's this, you know, very powerhouse performance.
Well, let me ask Sarah, because I know, like, I've talked to actresses before, and as actresses, sometimes they really get into their scene. There's been a couple of times that got a little rough and somebody got clocked. I mean, was there any of that between you and her? I mean, did you guys get a little physical for real, or?
No, not at all. I mean, Ruth and I were great friends, and we got along really well, even to the point where she was doing some of the sex scenes with Michael, and I mean, obviously that's a fairly closed set, but you still need a couple crew people in there. So since I was a girl, and I was in there helping to spray them down with the spray bottle for the sweat, and I accidentally turned the spray to stream instead of spray. And so I accidentally sprayed her with a stream of water right in the face.
No, it was right in the eye. It wasn't a spray. It was a stream in the eye. It was talk about cracking up on set for one of the sex scenes. That's one of the times.
Don't lie, Sarah. Don't lie, Sarah. You were marking your territory, and we know it.
It was completely unintentional. It really, really was. And, I mean, we all just cracked up, and it was hilarious. And, I mean, if ever there was a time for anyone to get upset, that would have been it. But there was none of that. I was so apologetic, so sorry. And she was like rolling on the floor with laughter.
Actually, Sarah, though, I think the hardest we ever laughed during a sex scene was when your sex scene with Gio.
Oh, God.
With the porn movie within a movie, Sarah is having with Gio Castellano, who plays Jack Tuscan.
Oh, yeah, he's hilarious.
And Gio's a brilliant comedic actor. He's a brilliant dramatic actor, but he does comedy so well. And we were shooting that scene, and I literally had a hard time keeping the camera straight because he just embodied this young Ron Jeremy kind of quality. He's got the mustache, he's got the whole thing. When he first came on set, all I could think about was, if you see Ron Jeremy in the films from like the late 70s, he was a pretty well put together guy. He wasn't what we see now, and he came out, man, and I just lost it with those cut off jeans and everything. I couldn't stop laughing.
You described Ron Jeremy perfectly too. You know the thing about your film too. Now this is where you could have really went down the toilet and you didn't. The makeup effects in The Possession was incredible. I thought she looked great. Now, Sarah, was that you under the makeup?
That was me under the makeup, indeed. And those were sclera contact lenses to completely black out all my eyes. And then there was a prosthetic that was put more over the upper half of my face, since, you know, I was still screaming, speaking, and everything. So it would have been harder to do it on the lower half of my face. And then, you know, just makeup to blend it all in.
Wow. So do the three of you believe that somebody could be possessed by the devil?
No. No.
Not even after listening to disco music?
And I've worked with actors my whole life. If anybody I know should be possessed by the devil, it's them. No, I don't believe that at all.
Richard, I wanted to ask you, because I don't know if you were a fan of this movie or not, or if it was just something that, as a nerd, I noticed. But Sarah was talking about the sclera contact lenses, and as soon as I saw that, I immediately thought of Invasion of the Bee-Girls.
I actually really dig that film. Yeah, it's written by Nicholas Meyer, who wrote the good Star Trek movies, Wrath of Khan and whatnot. Yeah, I like that. It's actually a really kooky little film. It's a really fun little, you know, drive-in movie from the 70s. Oh, I dig that one.
And, well, there's something about chicks with naked bodies and blacked out eyes. I don't know what it is. Some kind of strange fetish I have. I don't know. So is this something that could possibly lead to a sequel? Because it almost seems like there could be more to be told here.
Yeah, actually, the sequel is already being written by Tony Nunes, the writer of the original. Is called The Brother of the Disco Exorcist. I'll give you an exclusive. I'll give you a taste of the plot if you want to hear it.
Absolutely.
Well, the whole thing is that Michael and Sarah, you know, originally New Englanders, but they've moved to Los Angeles when after Disco Exorcist they had to leave town. And
we were chased out with pitchforks.
Exactly. So they can't really be in the sequel. I'm on the East Coast or on the West. So we're making a film basically about Rex Romanski's kid brother who was in L.A. during the time of the original, and he's like a Leif Garrett disco singer. And it's basically set during the time when disco is starting to lose its luster. And the Reagan administration and Margaret Thatcher in the UK have put it together to build an army of robots to stop punk rock in the UK and rock and disco music in America. So that is the plot. And hopefully, Beth Bombshell, who played Bernie, is going to come back and play Margaret Thatcher.
I don't think nobody can say that you've ever copied Unique.
No, I like to think when people watch one of my films, they go, "There's only one person who could have made that one." So you know, good, bad, or
wow. So what we want, because
oh wait a minute, that came out wrong.
I can imagine.
I think you got enough.
Imagine where you get conventions and get-togethers. Hey, you know off well. I mean, you did a good job at horror films before. You've got quite a few credits, and you did something called Beyond the Dunwich Horror.
Yes, Richard directed that one as well. So that was my second film with Richard, and that one's much more fun, and you know. All that sort of stuff.
I think my favorite part, I realized that I imagine it was a low budget, as all low budget films are, but you had so much on the screen, but there was one scene I had to chuckle, and I've got to give you in the theater.
Well, actually, Chris, I want to know why.
Why is that?
I'm going to tell you. in New York City during the 80s, and I was there for it. They used to have, and they were between us, and they were these little rat hole movie theaters where they would show 16mm porn films.
Right.
And they would have folding chairs.
Well, I
like 50,
called Satan Hates You, who's by the name of James Felix McKinney. I told him to go to your screen last night. I don't know if he showed up, but did it go pretty well?
It went extremely well. It was such a blast because, you never know with any audience how they're going to react to the film. But the minute the movie started, there's a disclaimer that says the producers have no memory of the making of this motion picture.
Yes.
And the audience started laughing at that, and they didn't stop until the end of the movie. I mean, I think they knew exactly from that opening shot what type of film they were going to say. Mm-hmm. And they really, I was expecting, like, it's a free movie, so people are going to get up, leave, Well, they didn't pay to see it, so I mean, if they get bored within the first 30 minutes, they're just going to leave. Everyone stayed for it, and we ended up having it's not the typical thing you're going to see. And I was very appreciative, and it was great for the distributor to put it on, and it was a blast.
Well, I must say, and seriously, I think I had my daughter write you and tell you that I don't give praise lightly. I'm a little cynical and very critical, and I've seen a lot of what I call schlock. And yours definitely was a cut of bus and highly entertained. I didn't expect anything, and I was very, very surprised. I give it my full recommendation. Everybody's got to see this movie.
Thank you so much. I mean, a lot of that, I have to say, disclosure, the film was made for $7,000.
Wow.
Wow, that's incredible.
And it goes to the actors. If I have some devoted to it, Sarah has done 7 movies with me, and Michael's done 6, and they've always been my guardian angels, and these are people who help build sets, build costumes, do makeup effects, do everything. And, and the other thing is the producer of the movie, Ted Marr, was built, 70% of that movie was shot on a little sound stage. Those are all sets, like the movie theater, the Rex's apartment, all that stuff was actually this tiny little set, and Ted would come in, with hammer and nails and build these sets and paint them and everything, and it's a lot of sweat equity, but made for $7,000.
Didn't I see it? I can't remember. One of your actresses, I don't know if it was Sarah or not, one of them was the editor, too?
Sarah co-edited the film with me. Sarah is a terrific editor.
Good job. Good job. It was great editing.
Well, let me ask, this is for Michael, and then after Michael answers, Sarah, you can answer as well. But in knowing that, as Richard mentioned, you both have done a handful of films with him, I know a lot of times we've talked to actors who are, basically just trying to make it big. Every actor out there wants to become, the next Clint Eastwood. So what, for you guys, makes doing these films so enjoyable? Because I would have to imagine that part of it is just kind of the enjoyment out of it. Why would you prefer to continue working on these projects versus just going to auditions and trying to become the next mega millionaire?
To me, it's not even an issue. If I could do these films with Richard Griffin for the rest of my life, I would absolutely do that. They are the most enjoyable. Of course, the pay isn't there. Like Richard was saying, it's sweat equity, but that is not even an issue. You're there with friends. We're working on our craft. We're having a great time. We're not only working with awesome friends, but we're making new talented friends. And if you go out and you work on other pictures, budget doesn't even matter, but you go work on other pictures, and the camaraderie is not even there. It's not there. The chemistry's not there. The camaraderie's not there. And to me, if I could go out and support myself on these, this would be what I would do, because every day it's not work. You're not going to work. Right. You're going to be creative and work with friends and have a great time, and it's completely different than when I go out and I'm grinding the auditions and getting a part in this and that. No. I would any day of the week want to get cast in a Richard film and work on that.
Well, what about you, Sarah? I know you're a very honest person. I mean, is your heart really where everybody else is? Is this like really fun for you, or do you look at this as a stepping stone somewhere else?
Richard, close your ears.
It is really fun for me. It definitely is. I mean, like Michael said, and we're all just such good friends, and we have such a good time being on set together, and like you said, it's not work. Like we get to all get together and do something that we love and that we have fun with, and we're all sharing in that together. And it's wonderful. It's an absolute blast, and we love seeing when the final product and the film comes out, and they're always so good and they're always so much fun, and everything about it from start to finish is just wonderful to be a part of. I mean, we really have, like, we call it, the Scorpio family, because it's a lot of the same people getting together and working together over and over again. And we really, there is that feeling of family. I mean, we'll get together and have people come over and make dinner for each other, and like, we just genuinely all like each other, and the fact that we all can share in something and all enjoy doing the same thing and can do what we enjoy together just makes it so much better.
Well, Richard, I have to say that it's really kind of a cool thing to see a director that reuses a lot of the same actors, because that's something that they used to do back in the drive-in grindhouse era. I mean, not since the like of people like Roger Corman, who would always have Dick Miller, Paul Bartel, and Mary Warnoff in every film he did.
Early John Waters, too. John Waters always used the same people, and it's cool that people are doing that now.
Well, I came out of theater, and the idea of having a repertoire cast, is not unusual. And I like the fact that when you get to the set in the morning on the first day of shooting, you don't have to go through the getting to know you process. Mm-hmm. There's a familiarity that I really enjoy, and the great thing is you never have to second guess things. I know when Michael and Sarah come to the set, they're going to have their lines down, they're going to have prepared, and they're going to give everything. It's never like, oh my God, is this person going to show up at all? Are they going to show up unprepared? I know I'm going to get the best quality. At the end of the day, they're my friends, and I love working with them. And it allows you to be very. A lot of people enjoy creating in a atmosphere of conflict, and I hate conflict of any sort. There's nothing I hate more than conflict, and I like a nice, clear horizon, and I like getting to the set and knowing that everyone's going to have a good time. Nothing makes me feel more miserable than when I'm on a set and I look over and I see someone who's not having a good time. I just feel this horrible pang of guilt. And it's just great knowing that they're going to be there and they're going to watch. Everyone's watching each other's backs, especially watching Michael's backside. It's glorious. And it's wonderful. I mean, I wish I had millions of dollars to have kept them here in Rhode Island, but we are going to be doing another film together in December, so I'm very lucky.
Well, I think that Michael and Sarah should put it in their new contracts with you. It's a director has to be nude on set too, so they'd feel more comfortable. Because
I grew up during the 70s. I grew up during the 70s. I would have no issues with that whatsoever. I just think they would probably get nauseous.
What'd you say, Michael?
I was saying that we talked about that. Of course, that's been a joke. It's like, okay, Richard, okay, drop your drawers. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, Michael, if you're ever tired, you could say that Richard has to be the stunt ass.
That's right. Right.
Well, Richard,
exactly.
I'm 41 years old now. I don't know if he'd actually want that, maybe with some CGI augmentation, but...
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're ever out this way towards L.A., Richard, I'll introduce you to my friend Ron Jeremy, except I don't know about casting him because he'd want to be nude. And he's kind of beyond.
If it's a coin toss between Michael Reed and Ron Jeremy, I'll go with Michael Reed any day.
Thank you, sir.
God bless Ron Jeremy. And we got the best compliment last night at the Cinema Village screening. There was a famous porno producer from the 70s and 80s who was at the screening, and he saw the film, and when it was over, he came up to the distributor, and the distributor introduced him to me. He said, "This is Richard, he's the director of the movie." And the producer looked at me, and he went, "What, were you 10 when you made this film?" I went, "What do you mean?" I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, this movie was made in 1979. How could you have possibly have directed it?"
Oh, wow. Well, that was
and he was dead serious. He was not being funny or cute. And I said, I told him, I said, man, you just paid me the greatest compliment I could possibly get.
It was very right on. I think, if you had like a captive audience, like they should show it at the AVN Awards, because especially those ones that were like from the 70s or 80s, I think they get a hell of a hoot out of it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely a love letter to that whole era, from the music down to the pornography. And it's definitely a love letter to that. Any
movie that has movies within a movie too. I love the little films inside the movie too. I mean,
Well, one thing I thought was interesting, and I'm not sure what part of the editing process or the filming process this came in under, but from what I could tell, you guys used filters to actually make some of the film look scratchy and old, like it was from the 70s.
Yeah,
right?
I wanted to say that. I've seen a lot of people that took video and they try to do film look, and they just don't know what the hell they're doing, and you totally got it right. It really looked good.
Because it wasn't a computer filter. What it was, I got tons of clear leader, which is clear 16mm film that had been damaged, and it had been digitized into a computer file, and I overlaid it over the video.
Awesome.
So it actually is, what you're seeing is real film damage, real scratches, real dirt, real emulsion changes. Like you'll see parts of the film where the color starts to shift.
Yeah.
Because film prints, as they get older, tend to degrade, and I did my homework on it, and I watched a lot of these movies, and I grew up watching these movies, and I didn't want it to have that pre-programmed computer After Effects look. I said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right, and I'm very proud of the way that turned out.
Was I right in noticing, wasn't there one scene, I believe it was where somebody was walking or something, didn't I see what looked like film for a minute?
Yeah, there was actually some of the film was shot on Super 8.
Awesome.
We were going to shoot the whole film in Super 8. Unfortunately, I found out the camera I was using did not shoot sync sound. So we couldn't shoot, so we had to go and shoot the rest of the movie in HD. But like the actual porno movie that you see in the porn theater, it was shot on Super 8, and the scene of Michael Reed walking to his parents' house was shot on Super 8.
Right.
The rest of the picture was shot on HD.
And we had actually a director on one time. He did a feature on Super 8. Man, talk about a lot of money. It's very expensive nowadays.
Oh yeah. It was definitely an ambitious failure, but it was one of those things. I'm just like, I think we can put the money somewhere else, and I'm glad, because we could allocate that money towards sets and costumes and things like that. So. It all worked out in the end.
I know with summer and fall upon us that the genre conventions are starting to roll up upon us. So have the three of you talked about, or do you know if the three of you are going to be appearing at any events to promote the film as far as, like, conventions?
I know the distributor is sending it out. I don't know yet. I don't know where it's going at this point. I know it's being released worldwide on DVD on Tuesday, and it's going to be on video on demand and pay-per-view in like 50 million homes, starting I think at the end of June, beginning of July. Outside of that, I'm not sure. I hope it gets into some festivals, and I just want a lot of people to see it. I'm just really proud of it. So I think that's the status at this point.
It did play in the San Francisco Indie Film Festival probably maybe a month or 2 months ago, and
right, you guys went to that.
Go there for that, so which was great. Everyone else there also really loved it. So
well, of course, that's where porn started, so it's appropriate.
Okay, time for a silly, stupid question for Michael and Sarah. Let's say that your film was screening around, and somewhere some porn director saw your guys' performances, and they called you and they said, we want you to be in our porn film. Would you guys do it?
No.
No, I wouldn't either.
I kind of
the only people
let's
The only people who will do that for is Richard Griffin.
There you go. Well, you know, Sarah, your scenes, for instance, okay, you were nude, but I mean, it was done tastefully in a way to where you didn't show quite as much as the other girls, but that was thanks to Michael's hands.
Well, no, I was laughing because I was thinking she has to really trust Michael and I was wondering how many different ways he could cover her nipples.
What I was wondering was there any time that Michael kind of fooled you, and was his hands like cold? Because
well, I think there is actually
very nice and warm.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yes. I try to keep my hands warm.
And they paid you to do
I don't
this?
think on that set it was a problem to keep my hands warm.
And just think, Michael, like I said, here you got to act with this beautiful girl, and you got to strategically place your hands in a good spot, and they paid you too. I mean, what a life. I mean, geez, you know?
And there's a mouth in there too. There's a mouth during one of the scenes. We use a mouth instead of hands.
Yes. See? Creativity there, right? Wow. Gotta change it up a little bit. There, use the mouth.
I mean,
I think there's a shot in there though where there is a reveal. If you're probably pausing or slow moing, you're probably going to see a reveal.
Okay.
Just saying.
I know what I'm going to be doing tonight because I have that feature on my DVD player. Wow. Because Sarah's a beautiful lady, that's for sure, absolutely. I think you guys just had such great chemistry. And if I was you and I got to be in a scene with Sarah, I think I would be all cocky and be like Rex Romansky for real. Because wow, I'm just stumbling over my words right now. I need to shut up.
I could just be myself, and especially with Sarah, it was totally comfortable. And with Ruthie too. Ruthie is such a cool, awesome lady, and she's a super talented professional actor. But we're also really good friends. So the sex scenes with Ruthie, they're in like Sarah was in. I think the most of them. She was in the closed set with most of them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, because we were so cool. You know, you might have seen for some people a stifled performance if everyone wasn't comfortable with one another. Mm-hmm. But because me, Ruthie, and Sarah were all good friends, no one held back. We still went balls to the wall, and it worked out. And I think that was really great to be able to do those kind of things with in the comfort of Scorpio's bedroom.
The thing about Ruth is the way that I judge an actress is, you know, you really can play it like too much, like you can go over the top if you play mentally disturbed or damaged or you've got issues, and she was so convincing at that. I mean, it really showed that she knows what she's doing as far as being an actress, because you seriously can downplay it or overplay it, either one, and she was right on.
Now,
she's great. I cannot say enough about Ruthie as a peer, as an actor, as a friend. Ruthie's performance is one of my favorites, if not my favorite in the movie, and she nailed it, and she's awesome, and I loved her character, and I loved her read on the character. I can't say enough about her.
Now, we've talked to actors before that, you know, have done horror films or things in the genre, but there has been certain scenes or certain things that they have refused to do because they thought it just like crossed the line a little bit too much. And there were some scenes in Disco Exorcist that for people that are, you know, maybe religious or super religious or whatever, where we're like, oh my God, they're having sex in the middle of a pentagram. Is there anything?
You mean sex on a pentagram?
Yeah.
That's not weird.
Is there? Is there any?
You guys are from Rhode Island. This is just a typical thing we do on a Friday here, you know.
Is there anything that Richard could throw in one of his movies that you guys would be like, no, that's crossing the line?
Well, if he brings in a sheep. That crosses the line a little bit.
Yeah, animals, those are off limits.
I think there were a couple of shot ideas that Richard had. That I
don't remember
this. There were a few shot ideas that he had that I did actually, you know, it's hard to believe. I know that I was like, no, I don't think I'm gonna. Let's just. We've got something else we can do. There's something better. I'm sure we can throw at it. Yeah, there were a few where I was like, Yeah, I'm not going to be an Ewan McGregor or a Harvey Keitel, so let's move on.
So what could be more embarrassing than showing your shiny naked ass? I mean, what were those things?
My full Monty.
Oh, okay.
You got to give Richard credit, though. He tried. He was like, "Come on."
I would imagine.
No, he did. He did try, and I loved him to death for it. But I was like, no, let's try something else.
And I imagine that.
Well, I like to think the orgy scene gave us enough penis, for at least 5 films,
And see, he could.
Richard's credit, though, Richard somehow ends up getting a lot of people that volunteer to be naked. Like, he doesn't even have to ask them. Like for example, the Chris Ferreira, who was the costumer on the porn set, who did the Full Monty. Originally, when that was shot, he had underwear on, I think, and then the scene was done. It was wrapped. Went outside, and they were just talking, and I think Chris, said something to Richard like, "Well, okay, if that's what you want, then I'll do it." Like, he just volunteered to be naked, so Richard's like, "All right, let's go back in."
There's definitely.
The funny thing is Alex Lewis, who plays Rex's kid brother, the priest.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, you didn't see him at the orgy in the script. Originally, he just showed up at the dinner table scene, and that was it. And we would get together on like a Friday night and go out and have drinks and talk about what we had shot during the week or whatnot. And everyone was talking about the nude scene they had just done. Oh, I did this nude scene, I did that nude scene. And Alex Lewis looks at me and goes, "Why don't I get a nude scene?"
Wow.
So I said, "All right, went in for it, man." So we, added the scene where he's tied to the cross, getting whipped by the nun, and hey, man, if you're going to offer, I'll take you up on it.
Well, see, that's my problem. I've shot 2 or 3 of those kind of movies, kind of softcore stuff, but I have a problem with my actresses. I guess it's because they're really porn stars. I should go with actors and actresses, and then that's the problem, And of course, our actor friend that has a lead role, I would kind of like brag about your almost frontal nudity scene, because you could have said, well, we couldn't do it because Sarah would have had to have hid me like I hid her, but her hands weren't big enough.
We weren't shooting enough widescreen to get the whole thing in, The lens was just not able to handle the full thing,
Wow, seriously.
16 by 9 is plenty, right?
You guys are just too much fun. If you ever get out here in the Los Angeles area, you need to come in studio, and it'd be a blast. Silence.
Hey, Sarah and I are here. Let us know.
All right, so as we kind of wrap things up, I want to give each person a chance to kind of have their own little moment to promote what's going on with them now. Let us know where people can connect with you on the internet, if you have a website, Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, and what people can look out for from you coming up in the future. We'll just say we'll say Michael, and then Sarah, and then Richard. You can go last, but also tell everybody when and where they can get their own copy of the Disco Exorcist. So, Michael, go ahead.
So my Facebook, I don't know my exact Facebook address. There's like a zillion Michael Reeds. I guess it's a popular name. I can't even give you that right off the bat, to be honest.
It's facebook.com/Michael A. Reed.
I think that is what it is. Thank you very much.
Michael, my daughter's stalking your ass online.
My webpage is michaelreedactor.com.
There you go.
If you guys want to check out, I've got blog posts about what's up and coming casting news and whatnot. And thanks for letting me be on the show with you guys, and grinding it out in LA, and thanks a lot.
And thank you for being a good sport about me kidding you about your ass, because
hey, that's fine. I thank my parents, I guess, for that.
All right, Sarah, what about you? Where can people find you online, and is there anything upcoming other than the Disco Exorcist that you'd like to plug?
Well, find me also Facebook, Sarah L. Nicklin, so Facebook.com/Sarah L. Nicklin. I'm also on Twitter at Sarah_Nicklin, and I also have a website, sarahnicklin.com. And that has all, similar to what Michael said about updates about upcoming films and projects and all that stuff. So the newest upcoming one that I'm most excited about is what's our picture with Richard after Disco Exorcist, which is exhumed, and that's been completed, and it's actually showing in a festival in Oregon in July. So if there's anyone in Oregon,
and now's Richard's chance to not only tell us what's going on, but you can kind of give us a hint as to what Exhumed is about.
Exhumed is a kind of a Hitchcockian thriller. It's in black and white, and it's the model of restraint compared to Disco Exorcist. I mean, it's a very subtle mood piece. It's very dark, and it's beautifully written by Guy Benoit, and it stars Debbie Rochon and Sarah Nicklin and Michael Thurber and a whole bunch of other great people. And that's on the film festival circuit right now. I just finished directing a film called Murder University, which is a homage to 80s slasher films, and that's going to be premiered on August 5th. And then in December we do a new film called Normal, which is a drama. And you can find everything you want to know about me at www.scorpiofilmreleasing.net. That's our official website. And Disco Exorcist is going to be released on DVD this Tuesday. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it basically anywhere DVDs are sold.
Wow. It's kind of weird you mentioned Debbie Rochon because she works an awful lot with my director friend James Felix McKinney that did the film called Satan Hates You. She's got to introduce you two guys. You guys are just like sit around and have beer and just laugh all night about these kind of films you make. I think you guys get along well. You got to be introduced someday.
Fantastic. I would love that.
All right, well, we would like to thank our three guests for joining us on the air, and we 100% recommend Disco Exorcist, so go out and check it out. And Sarah, Michael, and Richard, thank you so much for joining us for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
Great.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Great to be a part of this.
Good. All right, good night, guys.
Good night.